Hi everyone, it's your boy Dutchy and welcome to a new episode of Twinkle Hollow. It is still the first year and quite a lot has happened, so let's just dive right in. Alright, one of the things of course most important is that the Entrance Plaza is pretty much done right now. The ticket booths are there, the sort of magical entrance gate is now free for all to see. It's no longer behind scaffolding. I did a little bit of gardening and I even built the first sort of, wouldn't call it a house, but let's just say the building of the village square, for lack of better naming, that is going to be right behind the entrance gate. And just so that we keep an overview here, there is the main road, which will lead all the way into the tunnel, crosses the river, then somewhere it disappears at the end of the horizon. It takes you past farmlands, pastures, whatever you not. And then there's a small parking lot, which I reckon would be, maybe 60 cars. Maybe I will use the front spots for coaches, for touring buses. But it's still a modest park and it will most likely stay a rather modest project. What I personally really like, even though it wasn't planned, is that when there's the Entrance Plaza, then there's an angle, and on that angle, the rest of the park gets built. This wasn't intended, but I really like using, some of the 11.25 or 15 degree angles that you can easily rotate and snap your pieces to. Once you start moving sort of outside of those standardized angles, everything becomes a bit of a chore. So I really like setting the park on a specific degree, if you want to call it. And for that to happen, as you can see, I had to rotate a bit, get a bit creative. But then again, I think that sort of adds to the realism, doesn't it? You sort of walk towards the gate, and without noticing, you sort of go with a bend, with a curve into the rest of the park. So I like how that worked out. I have no problem with it at all. I think the Entrance Plaza is proper magical. Those custom lanterns, they're just lovely. The garden, if you want to call it that, is whimsical. It has some flower beds. It's slightly raised, as you can see. This is really great about Planet Coaster 2, by the way. Just how you can sort of create a perfect flower and planter bed and have it slightly elevated, that just adds to the realism. I really like that. And they're not perfectly symmetrical, and nor do they need to be perfectly symmetrical. So I really like how that turned out. At the back of both gardens, maybe it's one big garden, but let's just say both the planter beds, there's a little staff path. And I think this just turned out lovely. It's just really almost organic looking, bit wild. I think it just... what I really look forward to, and I hope we get them back. We had them in Planet Coaster 1 at some point, those butterfly effects. And I think we even had bees, which I didn't like that much. But the butterflies, they were recolorable. And I would love to see them dart through the flowers and the much better looking topiaries. So I really, personally, without wanting to blow my horn too much, but I really like how this turned out, because it's kind of a, if I could make my own garden, then it would look something like that. It's colorful and it does the job. Then there's the Tickets and Smiles booth on one side and the other one on the other side. They are sort of mirrored, but then, not quite. So both of them, they have the little tower on their sort of, on the parking lot side. And I just like how it turned out. I think they're lovely. They have almost the same shade, just slightly different as the Entrance Plaza, or the entrance gate, sorry. And I think this worked out well. And this is also as much effort as I want to put into it, to be honest. Because it's a small park, so why go beyond that? Then there's, I'm really, again, this is going to sound really arrogant, but I really like what I did here. I think that's okay to say. this is so untypical for me, and I really went out of my own comfort zone here. This is something that you wouldn't normally see in a duchy park. So yeah, this is I just kind of I'm just really glad I went with this. It's I never really recorded the many versions that I did, but there were around 5 gates that came before this one. So this is sort of a perfected version of where I wanted to end up. And it's still relatively simple. I mean, piece count is only 176, so still kind of lightweight. Just to make it more realistic and have the moon and the stars actually anchored, I used a glass plate, which I think in reality could work just like that. And yeah, this is nice, isn't it? I mean, Twinkle Hollow, there you are. Okay, and so then the idea is that you get to a sort of a old-timey village square. Again, this is sort of a result of different iterations, at least the layout. First I started with a perfectly rectangular square, then I did something that was a big circle, and none of it felt right. And I thought to myself, you know, it'd be much nicer if there were multiple ways to get in and out of that square and you know, visit the rest of the park. So I opted, you can already pretty much see their silhouettes, I opted to have 5 buildings. There's one enormous one and the rest will be a bit smaller, I think, but who knows where, you know, where I'll end up. And they all sort of sit at, you know, organic rectangular shapes and angles that just, I guess, make it look not so stiff. And I just want to make sure that I wasn't going to end up with something extremely rectangular looking. And yeah, we'll see where this goes. One of them is done already. For this whole square, I'll be going with a bit of a fantasy mix of 2 French cities, Colmar and Strasbourg. I think they're you know, if you were an American or Australian and you would look up European architecture, I think these 2 towns will just pretty much capture the heart of European architecture, especially Northern and Central European architecture. And since the park is somewhere in Northern Europe, I figured that this would work well. So yeah, there is this bigger building, which, let me just turn on the flashlight, which I think is just lovely. It's simple, but it absolutely does the trick. There's I really love this, by the way. So this mural, what I did was I took a picture on of the, what do you call it, the plaster wall, perfectly at noon, making sure that the shadow was right behind it. And that seems to be the best time to take a picture of Planet Coaster in-game pieces and walls and scenery at noon. And so then I overlaid it with this really old-timey thing that I designed in Photoshop, really within 10 minutes. And you know, with the new decals in this game, I wanted to make it look as if it had been there for a century, you know, like early 1920s. And yeah, I think that worked out just fine. With the new path tool in Planet Coaster, I of course could have made the path perfectly aligned, but I think it's kind of cool to have this little flower bed here for absolutely no reason. I don't know, it's something, maybe it's just something that throws me back to the Planet Coaster 1 days, you know, where there was no other way than to have these weird openings every now and then. And I don't know, I think it works here. So it's got a Just a Momento gift shop, and it's got a latte love. And I'll be using real brands. This is something I saw in one of Mineral's videos, and I really liked it because it just sort of elevated the whole thing, and it sort of pushes it even a little further into this, you know, semi-realistic, suspending belief type of world. And so yeah, that's stolen from Mineral, and he probably took it from someone else, and we all stand on each other's shoulders, don't we? So yeah, I like how this turned out. Beans and baubles. And by the way, having these fairy tale pieces now scalable is just, it really gave it a new leash of life. It's pretty impressive, because just this tower alone, this little turret, or little turret, I think normally turret. It's this one. Oh, is it actually the 100% one? I was going to make a big song and dance, how normally it'd be, you know, unusable, but I guess I actually use it at 100%. Never you mind. However, this one is at 50%. There we go. At least something to prove my point. These are at 50%, you know, and normally in Planet Coaster 2, they could only be this big, and it wouldn't sell forced perspective at all. The beauty of this building, and someone actually gave me a nice compliment about the forced perspective. The beauty here is that it's really just a shop front with that gable, and that's it, and that's the whole building. But somehow, with the forced perspective, you can just really make it look like something else, you know. And especially right here, this gives you the idea that there's 3 floors, and I could do even you know, a cleaner job, but it's just fantastic. I never really had much use for the fairy tale pieces until Planet Coaster 2. Go figure. Last but not least, you know, I like to keep my updates short and crisp. I never do speed builds because I simply get too nervous and too self-conscious recording myself building something. I think it'd be really nice to see, but I just have no way to do it. I hate it. But maybe I'll try again. Okay, if you have to twist my arm like that. There is a lovely statue, the kind of thing. I'm not sure if it's done yet, but I like it. This whole building of this whole park, of course, is sort of, you know, with Twinkle Hollow as a mascot. Twinkle, I mean, not Twinkle Hollow. The park is Twinkle Hollow. So Twinkle as a mascot, and yeah, I think it works. It's absolutely patently ridiculous, and that's why I like it. And this is like someone offering his firstborn to Twinkle. But yeah, this will be the centerpiece. Because I had no idea what to do. Was I going to build a tower? Was I going to put a fountain? None of it felt right. And I settled on this instead. And yeah, that's where we are right now. So this is the update. This is where Twinkle Hollow is at right now. I think it's going to be really nice. This is the first time in a long time I actually have a vision for a park. So that really got me excited. And then here to the left, so once you're in the park and you rotate, you turn around, it'll be the right. But here, let me see if I can somehow mark it for you. There we are. I think pretty much this whole area, and maybe even a bit more, will be a fairy tale forest. There's a couple of parks who've done this. I think for me personally, most notably, the Efteling has done that. And I still don't know if I'm going to create my own fairy tales or just, you know, rework some of the Grimm brother fairy tales. But I'm sure I'll make really good use of the moving platform. So that is definitely going to be a lot of fun. I just hope that we find a way to somehow get people to walk through the forest. I think an excellent method would be what was it called again? The Vista Point in Planet Coaster 1. You know, so that people can sort of point at whatever's there to see and you know, just really interact with it. But we'll see. For now, I'll just keep working. And I think that the next update, I think I just want to show you the entire Village Plaza, and should just be done by then. So see you in maybe a couple of weeks. Bye bye.